Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Finance Tube. I am your finance guru Vishal Thakkar, and we continue the series of question and answers today. So we have in our studios Tinaz here today. Welcome, Tinaz.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Tell me.
So my co-founder and I are planning to approach VCs for funding for the first time. So I wanted to know what are the common. We don't want to make any rookie mistakes. So I want to know what are the common missteps that people who are funding for the first time make.
Okay, great. Why don't you have a seat? We'll explain that to you today. Okay, so let's understand what are the 5 common mistakes that the first time entrepreneurs do when they approach the investors or so-called VCs. First mistake is cold calling. If you do not know the investor or VC fund, don't try to make a cold call or a cold email. It's always better to go through a warm introduction. What do you mean by a warm introduction? You can ask maybe a person who is already funded by the same VC or an accountant or a lawyer who are in regular touch with these VC guys. It's very essential to get a warm introduction from a middleman or a middlewoman who these VC guys know and trust. The second common mistake that the entrepreneurs do is not doing proper homework. It is very essential to find out what is the venture capital doing, which space or industry they are looking at, what is their investment track record, which geographies they are looking at, what is their sweet spot, and much more. It is very important to do the homework before approaching the VC, because the perception that the VC will have of you will be very different if you have done a proper research on them. You are more likely to get funded. The third common mistake that most entrepreneurs do when they are talking to VCs is asking them to sign an NDA. That's a non-disclosure agreement. Let's face it, guys, it's not gonna happen. Why? Simply because the VCs are talking to entrepreneurs day in and day out, and they get so many business plans and business ideas that the last thing they want in their life is to get sued for funding a business idea which is similar to yours. Moreover, for them, an NDA means consulting a lawyer, framing clauses, which according to them is waste of time and money. So if you are really worried about the new technology that you've invented or the secret sauce of your business, then don't share it with the VC in the first place. But if you're expecting to sign an NDA, that's just not going to happen. The fourth common mistake that most startups do is that they focus too much on valuation. Now, of course, pre-money valuation, or pre as we call it, is a very important number. However, so many startups are obsessed about the pre-money valuation of their company that they almost prefer signing that term sheet which gives them the highest pre-money. Now, this is a mistake which you don't realize simply because there are 2 key factors which affects when you sign on the highest pre. Number 1, it affects the option pool and the liquidation preference. And number 2, if there is a bigger P willing to give you a lower pre, in that case, what you end up doing is you end up taking a huge piece of a small pie, whereas you would have been much better off taking a smaller piece of a bigger pie, because when you go for your next round of funding, a well-known PE can give you much more leverage and valuation at that point in time rather than today. The fifth common mistake that most startups do is negotiation. Very early on, they start negotiating term sheets with the venture capitalists without either completely understanding them or hiring a proper investment banker or a counsel who could explain them how the term sheets are made. See, it is very important to understand that these VCs spend their entire lifetime creating term sheets. So they are more equipped and aware about the every clause and its implication that they have mentioned in the term sheet. So it is very important first to understand what kind of terms they have offered in the term sheet and hire a good counsel or a banker who could help you to do preliminary negotiations on your behalf on the term sheets. So friends, these are some common mistakes that entrepreneurs do before they enter into an agreement with VCs. If you do these mistakes, it's a very slim chance that you will get good amount of funding, or even VCs might not look at you. So let us recap. The 5 common mistakes that we discussed today are: number 1, cold call; number 2, homework; number 3, NDA; number 4, valuations; and number 5, negotiations. Try and avoid these 5 mistakes. All the best for your funding, guys. To avoid such mistakes and get your companies funded, make sure you are hooked onto our channel. Subscribe now. Finance Tube. Home loan is the cheapest loan that you can take on this planet Earth. Let's talk about situation in our country, India.